everybody, Sarah here. So this is going to be our last video of the year and the last video of this year with our prices series on what did corn snakes cost this year, what did different morphs cost, and how does that compare to last year. Remember to like, subscribe, share. We have a membership option, which is $2 a month right now. Here are our current members. I want to thank all of you guys so much for being here and making this channel possible. Really, you guys have just made it so much nicer and easier and worth it to continue doing this channel, so thank you guys so much. There will be another member tier coming up early next year for $5 a month. That's going to get you some extra perks. So right now for the $2 a month, the perks are you get access to live videos after they are over, and you also get your own little video that I record every week. And then I'm also going to be adding a option for Discord. If you would like to be a member of my Discord, that's going to be a perk for a $5 a month channel member. We're not there yet, but I will definitely let you guys know when we are. So check out my website, sarahsnakeshop.com. You can still get some stuff for 10% off as of the time that this video is coming out. But remember, at the end of the year, it's all going to go back to normal prices. So if you want to get that 10% off, now's the time. Thank you to Reptilinks for helping to support this channel as well. You can use my code SarahSnake27 at checkout if you would like to get $5 off, and I also get $5. You get great food for your snakes, and so can I, so it's a win-win for everybody. Now, these are going to be some triple, some quad, and some additional morphs that I didn't go over in the other videos, as well as everybody's requests. Just remember that these are prices in America, and these are also for baby snakes only. So this is not going to account for yearlings or adults that were for sale. And it's also not going to account for other countries. I have no idea what the prices are in other countries. These are in no particular order. So I'm going to start out with Gold Dust. The average price last year for Gold Dust was $115, and this year it was $110. That's pretty close. I mean, obviously there was a little bit of a decrease there, but not by much. Next is a Sunkissed Ghost, which had kind of a little bit of a dramatic decrease between $240 and $200 on average. Next we have Amber, which went from $100 to $115, so actually a little bit of an increase, which is very interesting because if you consider the other caramel morphs, a decrease in the honey lemon combos and a severe decrease in caramel blood reds, but the regular caramel stayed the same. So I think it is interesting to see that Amber actually went up a little bit compared to every other caramel morph. The next one is the Het Scaleless, which I know is not like a morph in itself, but since Scaleless is still a relatively valuable morph, a 100% Het Scaleless does sort of hold its own value. So last year the average was 125 for these. This year it's 150. So there was actually a bit of an increase in the known Het Scaleless offspring. I calculated that by only looking at normals that were het for scaleless and not het for anything else that might increase the price, like a het palmetto, even sometimes het cinder, het blood red. Sometimes those will increase the price. So I was very picky about which ads that I looked at to get those numbers. The last one that I have on my prepared list is a Castagna, and the average price last year was $165, this year $245. So actually a dramatic increase in that, and I'm actually kind of surprised by that because Castagna to me just looks like a glorified hypo a little bit, but if you get really nice ones, those red heads, very, very beautiful snakes. So next we're going to go on to your requests, and we are going to be flipping to other Sarah. All right, I am here now to do the requests for this video. There weren't too many. One person just said all of the caramel morphs. So what I did was compile all the caramel morphs that I had previous data on from last year and that I could actually collect reasonable data on this year. So that doesn't cover all of them. Some of them were a little bit more niche, like caramel shatter. I couldn't find a reasonable set of data for something that complex for both years to compare. So we kind of went with more of the simple ones, but I'm going to go ahead and go through them, actually starting not with the caramel morphs, but starting with Heliconia. And Heliconia was kind of a weird one as well because there's the snow version and the anerythristic version. However, for both years, I could really only find good data for the anerythristic version. So the anerythristic version of Heliconia, which is a sort of specter coral cross. Last year, the average was $180. This year, $145. That's a pretty average decrease, I would say, that we've been seeing across the board. The next one that was requested was het palmetto, because I covered regular palmetto, but I hadn't done het palmetto. So just normals het palmetto last year we're selling for about $150, and this year they're down to about $115. So we're seeing prices similar to our het scaleless and stuff like that, which is what I kind of expected would eventually happen. The next one on the list, we start with our caramel stuff here, is the scaleless caramel. Last year, the scaleless caramel was going for $650 on average, and this year I could really only find a few for an average of about $535. Once again, that's a pretty like standard percentage decrease that we've been seeing this year. The next one, caramel stripe. Again, I don't have all of the caramel morphs, but there's this one and two others that I was able to get reasonable amounts of data on. So caramel stripe was about an average of 175 last year, and this year an average of 135. Again, a very similar price drop. Butter stripe, though, which was a very interesting one for me noticing like all of these trends. Last year was 150, and then this year the average I saw was 200 in the butter stripes. Stripes in general, I've mentioned this before, tend to keep their price a little bit higher than something like Motley or even Diffuse. Diffuse does also keep its value pretty well, but for some reason Stripe, it seems like, has always kept its value relatively well in comparison. And again, you can take these ones with a grain of salt, because the reason they weren't in the original lists was because it was difficult for me to find 2 years worth of data for them. So a lot of these that are going off of data from last year, and then a very, very, very minimal amount of data from this year. All of these were ones that I had data on from last year, already had it in the list, so I don't have to like go back and check last year's prices. But this year, there was just a very limited number. So just keep that in mind, but that is a very significant price increase, in my opinion, from 150 to 200 on average, because we don't see that price increase too much this year anyway. Last one on the list is butter tessera, and last year was going for 150, this year going for 135. So that makes sense. It makes sense to me that last year butter stripe and butter tessera were both going for about the same amount, but this year it seems like the tessera price went down and the stripe price went up. Again, you can take that with a grain of salt. I would imagine that the actual average probably would have been a little bit closer to the butter tessera, like the stripe and the tessera probably would have been more similar, like in actuality. But like I said, I'm going off a very limited data set on these. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for enjoying the most productive year that I've had on this channel. This year, we stepped it up like 10 notches. This year is when I got my ring light. That's when I got my whole like actual setup. That's when I set up all of this art in the background. But most importantly, that's when I feel like we became a community. Instead of just me talking to a camera, now I feel like there's other people out there who not only want to see this content and want to hear me talk for some reason, but also want to contribute back to the channel through memberships or through super thanks, or even something as simple as just putting my code in at reptilinks.com or something like that. All of that ultimately helps the channel, and it just goes right back to you guys. We also started the book review stuff this year, so I just feel like we've had a really, really successful 2022, and I am hoping for an even more successful 2023. So thank you all for watching me this whole year, and I look forward to many years to come. See you in the next one.